I'd like to shift gears a little bit, and because we're coming up pretty close to time here, but I got one more topic that I thought would be interesting to maybe cover, which is the let's talk about the brawl and the melee divide a little bit, because that was ultimately one of the central narratives to the story that is a Super Smash Brothers Brawl in the community. And again, we'll talk about this with a little bit of hindsight, and let me frame it this way. One of the untold stories that I think about the resurgence of Melee, in terms of Melee getting back into Evo, was through that charity drive. Evo put together a charity drive in support of I forget the charity. Was it a breast cancer?
It was the
breast.
Foundation. It was a research breast cancer thing, and the big games. It was Melee was trying to fight in. You had a My Little Pony startup game. You had Skullgirls. Skullgirls
right.
With Mike Z going absolutely bananas during that whole thing. You had us, and to basically fill in the blank that you were going to allude to, the Brawl community, we kind of gave up our spot. We gave up our chance to allow Melee to have a second chance. I'm going to be a bitter party on that one, just because, like, you look back in the history of it, like, with Melee's resurgence, they still kind of, like, I'm not going to say everybody, like, Florida, actually, as a Melee community, they were always really cool with Brawl, but just as an overall, I don't think Brawl gets nearly the respect they should, at least as the community, from Melee, just because, like, a lot of the, like, Brawl looked at it as the Smash community as a whole. Melee looked at it as Melee at that time.
Right.
Yeah, I think, for me personally, I wanted Melee to be in over Brawl, because I thought it would be better for the Smash community as a whole.
It's a better spectator game too.
Yeah, exactly
Right.
For that reason. Yeah, because I thought if there was outsiders viewing Smash, Melee's probably the better game to view. I mean, me personally, I love watching Brawl, because I have, like, more knowledge on it. But if you're an outsider and you don't have that much knowledge on Smash, I think Melee is going to be more entertaining to watch. And that was kind of my reasoning for, let's get Melee into Evo.
Yeah, I think that's one of my biggest frustrations with the situation, because I think the one unit movement, which is kind of the hashtag that was used back then to make that drive happen, was ultimately successful in that it got Melee back into the spotlight. But I feel like the original aim from that, especially on the Brawl community side, was to kind of bridge
Dual
over
tournaments.
Some of the the divide, and have because we were talking about how the scarcity of resources really drove the narrative that was Smash, and had all these perverse incentives that have created so much tumultuous change in the community that, for lack of a better term, was very destructive in ways that we hadn't anticipated. And it seemed like having one unit where the communities would work together to pool their resources was kind of the legitimate answer that we could have. Like, if we all worked in solidarity with one another, and say rented out the same venue and split it up with each having its sections, instead of looking at it in terms of a zero-sum game of each player in Brawl as one less player in Melee or something like that, which is kind of what it seems like the Melee fandom in general seemed to kind of view it as. I just, looking back at it, it seemed like we had such a great opportunity and such a great, rapport at that one point in time, that it's really sad to me that it ended up playing out the way that it did. And I'm not sure if that's necessarily, sometimes in dynamics, we want to collectively look at our own culpability in the matter, but I'm not sure if the Brawl community could have really done a whole lot different in that particular aspect. I mean, we gave up, and we fell into line and did what we could. And then, the next Apex, people were chanting for Brawl to get off the stage as soon as
consecutive ones. Wasn't
right.
This in 2013? I think, because I remember 2013.
Yeah, Apex 2014.
2013, we got booed off the stage, or when he I mean, I guess I'll have to say the name. Like, Nairo won the grand finals of an Apex, and
that was 2014.
immediately. Well, there was that one, and then there was one before that.
2013, Salem had won.
No, Salem won 2012.
No, he won 2013.
No.
Oh, Tori
he won 2013.
Yeah, Tori won 2012.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But at this, like, okay, so Nairo won 13, and still we had a poor response from the Melee community. We helped them with this drive, and then we still get essentially booed off the stage at 2014. Or also, like, you also had the what was it? The Salty Suite during Brawl Round 2 pools at Apex 2014, which disrupted a whole lot of players. Just because Melee became bigger and bigger and bigger at that moment because they had their life back.
It's Melee becoming bigger, and also the stigma that Brawl always had. Like, you know, and the Smash Melee documentary, I like to call it, kind of made that a little bit worse. And as far as that goes, I think it's just because they're very different games, and people, like...
They are.
Yeah, it really just comes down to people expecting Melee and getting something different and not being able to be receptive to the game. Because I think while there's a trade-off in speed, like, you know, with the gravity, the movement, you could even talk about tripping. I think that with the slower pace, what gets left out of the conversation is the fact that because you're both going a little bit slower, you're both thinking that much more. And that's kind of where the fun for Brawl, for me, comes from.
There was so much depth in the gameplay.
Yeah, and there's so many little nuances where your opponent can have a one-up on you if you don't know this one, like obscure infinite or a piece of tech skill. There are a lot of, like, little things that go into Brawl, and because that's not something that, you know, the average spectator would see outright, whereas with Melee you can see everything going super fast, and it's, you know, it's stimulating. Without, you know, playing Brawl, getting into Brawl, it's pretty hard for people to just see it outright.
Agreed.
How good I think the game is.
Yeah, and I wish that people would kind of have a little bit of I guess more of an open mind instead of being so tribal about it, and really just kind of appreciating the beauty behind all of the games, whether it's the flawed beauty of Smash Ultimate or the flawed beauty of Smash 4 or Brawl or Melee or Smash 64 or Project M or whatever game, Monopoly. I don't really care. It's just people have their different tastes and their different things that they enjoy, and I guess I hope that some of this history ends up being an objective interpretation of this history. Seems to be that the best way forward would have been to, you know, really have our community figureheads and hopefully all the players following them not look at it in such a tribal way, and ultimately,
the truth, so to
I
speak.
think that, yeah, you know, I think that's what kind of gives me hope about the Brawl community in general. Just that one unit movement. That it's one of the first times that I've actually seen a community kind of, in the name of a shared fandom of Smash, actually put down their tribalism and lay it down on the line and help out another community. So in such a really powerful fashion, and hopefully at some point in time, the game is given, or the community behind the game especially is given the respect that it deserves, at least for helping helping spawn the Melee renaissance, as it were. And I think one of the spillover effects that I've seen, and maybe it's not related, but it seems to maybe have some of this relation to it, is that even prior to the pandemic, you know, God willing, we're going to end up having in-person tournaments again at some point in the future. Even prior to the pandemic, there had always been some calls to cut Brawl from the international get-togethers like SmashCon and things like that, because obviously the game lineup is growing, and as new games get released into the future, the time pressures and logistics are always going to be that much tougher, you know. And unfortunately for those these smaller niche communities, some of those major get-together, or those majors, are like the main get-togethers for those events. And this might be mostly a question for 686, but also for, actually, Player One, you've been competing competing as well too. So
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine seeing that the pandemic is going to magnify some of these concerns because space is going to be at a premium for events in the future. Do we think that this is something that the Brawl community is going to be able to overcome, or like what kind of organizing can we do immediately to maybe help stave off some of those demands to free up space so there's just that many more melee or ultimate setups at some of these major tournaments?
Well, personally, like, let's see. When I went to SmashCon's been pretty good about keeping Brawl subs, I think. As from my experience with it, when I go to the venue, there's usually a Brawl sub I can play on if I want to. Like after the tournament, that's like when they would start probably converting Brawl setups to maybe PM setups or melee setups if other people want to play it. Which if there's not a lot of Brawl people playing, I think that's fine. I've been a TO too, so I know like you need to satisfy your entrance and people attending. And if no one's using the Brawl setups, yeah, you can use it. But having like one or two setups for the people that do want to play it, I think is I think it's still pretty important. There was something else I was going to say, but I had just forgotten it. So while I think about it,
686 jump in. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I had the exact same experience with SmashCon 2019. There were a lot of Brawl setups to play on, and yeah, there was like as far as that tournament goes, like there was a lot of catering it to it. I haven't experienced much of the real life conflict between having setups and not having setups for Brawl to play on, but like for me, it costs me more money to go to SmashCon 2019 than it would for me getting like second place. I think if I won, then it would be like a little bit more. But for me, I literally just go because I enjoy the game and I love the game. So I think that when it comes to, because let's be honest, like nobody's going to make a career out of this game anymore. I think that it does come with the territory of having to, make space for other games just because that is what, the majority wants. And while there are things we can do, like, if like, bringing our own setups or just like, asking the TO, like having again, one or two that people can play on, if that's that, like, anything to keep the game going for the people who want to play it. As far as like new players, I don't think that. I mean, SmashCon, well, there were a lot of DQs. I think there was like 184 entrants. So, I mean, to me, that's pretty nice to see. Like, over 100.
That's amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's actually great.
Over 100 seems really good to me, and like, even it's not that many, but occasionally I'll see people come into the net play server that I play in, and recently we even got somebody from Korea, and I didn't even know like South Korea had anything related to Brawl going on. So I think as far as the pandemic goes and like if that affects, whether we can play our game or not, I think that it will get shafted, but it's also kind of like what you would expect. In order to keep it alive, I think that, negotiating that like one or two, because again, like there won't be that many entrants. So as far as running through the bracket and stuff, there is like leniency, I think, with time, and that you can afford a lot fewer setups. So I don't think it would be that much of an issue, but I also am not a TO, so I can't really speak to that aspect of it.
Yeah, I kind of to summarize things, if we want more Brawl setups at tournaments, then we just have to kind of we us as a community has to do our part too and show up and play the game that we do love. I did remember what I was going to say too, and that was just it's not too relevant anymore because 686 already said his piece. But I was going to say that 686 probably has might have a better point of view than me because I usually when I go to tournaments, I play all the most recent Smash game at the time, so Smash Ultimate now, and also Brawl. But for SmashCon, I have not been for Smash Ultimate yet. I missed the last one. So for SmashCon, I was Smash 4 and Brawl for me, except for basically, I always had something to do. If I didn't want to play Brawl, I could go play Smash 4 because I have to focus on like the tournament that I'm in too. So if Brawl is already over, I still have Smash 4 to go. Then I have to focus on Smash 4, and so I already have something else to do personally. Except the last SmashCon I went to, which was 2018 or 17, I think. That one, I had quit Smash 4 at the point, and I was just there for Brawl. So besides that one, me personally, I have other things that I can do. But if you're there just for Brawl, then I could understand being kind of upset that there's not a lot of setups.
And that kind of like that's kind of like something else to touch on is like a lot of the higher players in even Ultimate are old Brawl names, and they're going to be focusing on their current tournament games. So while they may in fact like still love Brawl, would like to play Brawl, unfortunately economically that's not where the money is going to be. So they're going to put their everything into the current tournament game, try and place well in that game. So Brawl will kind of get a little bit shafted by that, especially with like not being able to bring in too many new players. I mean, I completely out of date, unfortunately, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I can imagine that there aren't too many new players coming in and out of Brawl, so a lot of the old faces from Brawl, they're going to be focusing on their better games, chasing victory, and Brawl may not get the same attention, so like anyone who goes strictly for Brawl, please go. Keep the game alive.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it does fall to the players too, who care about the game to, you know, bring setups or talk to the TOs, get it known. And like even Edge, SG is what he goes by now, but entered Brawl at SmashCon, and that was awesome. Like seeing an old Japanese player.
Wow.
After I was sad I couldn't go
that's
to
a
that
name.
one because I wanted to play him.